text to a photo is a great way to personalize a photo. In this video, I'll show you how to bring a photo from Lightroom into Photoshop to add some text there. And we're going to add one more step to our typical Lightroom Photoshop workflow for this project. We'll learn how to return to Photoshop from Lightroom a second time to edit the text on our photo again. Before taking this photo over to Photoshop to add text, I'm going to add a preset to it here in Lightroom's Develop module. I'll go to the Presets panel here on the left side of the Develop module. As I hover over presets here, I can see a preview of each in the Navigator panel at the top of the column on the left. I like this preset, so I'll click on it to apply it to the photo. Next, I want to add some text, and that's something you can't do easily in Lightroom. So I'll bring the photo into Photoshop. I'll right-click on the photo. I'll choose Edit in Adobe Photoshop. And in this dialog, I'll choose the first option, Edit a Copy with Lightroom Adjustments. I'll click Edit. That switches me over to Photoshop with the file open and ready for editing. In the Tools panel, I'll select the Horizontal Type tool. I'll go up to the Options bar to choose a font, and if you're following along, you can choose any font you like, and a font size, and I'll leave the font color at its default of black. I'll move into the image and I'll type. At the end of the first line, I'll press Enter or Return on the keyboard to add a second line of type. Then I'll highlight the second line by clicking and dragging over it, so that I can change the font on that line. You can use any font that you like. I'll click the check mark in the Options bar when I'm finished working with the text. Over in the Layers panel, notice that Photoshop has made a new layer. This is a special type layer that's made automatically when you create text with a type tool. Now I'll come over to the Tools panel and I'll select the Move tool. I'll click and drag the text into place wherever I want it in the photo. Now I want to save this image with the type so that it appears in Lightroom. I'll go up to the File menu and I'll choose Save. That saves the photo in the TIFF format with Edit appended to the file name. Now let's switch back to Lightroom to see the photo there. Here in Lightroom, take a look at the film strip at the bottom of the Develop module, and you'll see that I now have two photos. The one that's selected is the TIFF that I saved from Photoshop, and it contains the text that I added in Photoshop. Next to it in the film strip is the JPEG that I started with, to which I added this split tone before taking a copy of the photo over to Photoshop. I'm going to select the TIFF in the film strip, the one with the text, and what I'd like to do is to take this photo back over to Photoshop for another round of editing there, because I've changed my mind about the text. I'd rather it be white than black. To return the photo to Photoshop again, I'll right-click, I'll choose Edit in Adobe Photoshop. In the dialog that opens, this time I'll choose Edit Original. This is the best choice to make when you have a file that has layers in Photoshop and you want to access those layers back in Photoshop. By contrast, if I chose Edit a Copy with Lightroom Adjustments, I would have just a flattened copy to work with in Photoshop. So I'll choose Edit Original. By the way, Edit a Copy does the same thing as Edit Original, except that it would give me one more copy of this file in Lightroom, which I don't really need in this case. And I'll click Edit. And notice that in the Layers panel, I do have both layers available to work on. I'd like to change the color of this text, so I'll go back over to the Tools panel and I'll select the Horizontal Type tool. I'm going to click just to the right of the last letter in the second line and drag over the second line of text. Then I'll go up to the Options bar and I'll click on the color field there. I'll click on White in the color picker that opens and I'll click OK. Now you can't tell that the second line of text is white now because of the highlight over it, but you will be able to see that as soon as I click the check mark up here in the Options bar to commit that text edit. Now I'll save the file again by going to the File menu and choosing Save. Now let's switch back to Lightroom again. Here in Lightroom, we can see the TIFF that I re-edited in Photoshop, and as you can see, the color of the text on the second line has been changed. So now you know not only how to add text to a photo and edit it in Photoshop, but also how to move an image between Lightroom and Photoshop more than one time. By the way, you can use the Edit Original option to re-edit not only type layers in Photoshop, but any layers that you add to a photo in Photoshop during a Lightroom Photoshop workflow.